Thank you so much for joining us, Dolapo. Let's just begin with talking about this and breaking it down. Discussion at this stage when it comes to implementing this model. While on paper this does seem very feasible, when you take a look at it, what do you think could be the barriers that might prevent this from being as successful as it looks on paper?
Thank you very much. It does look good on paper, and I'll tell you that a lot of work, apart from what RMI has done, there's a lot of work that has gone into, looking at REG in Nigeria. And I think we're at the point where you are going to actually start to see projects come on stream soon. But what are the barriers, as you've asked? I think, as you said, the main barrier still remains, the credibility of the distribution companies, or who we call utilities in other countries. The fact that they haven't been credit worthy to be able to take on this power. So it's been a major issue. Other issues have been around tariffs, but now we have service, reflective tariffs, which are slowly inching to what we'd call cost reflective. Um, Now, based on the RG model, what we've seen in the RMI paper, and which I think is what we are going to be inching into, is where you'd have projects like these kind of ring fenced outside of what's happening, outside of the discourse issues around their, their credit worthiness. So, as you see from the model, the power that's coming from the REG specifically is supposed to be warehoused in some way and somewhat ring fenced from the grid power. But then there's also a correlation as well, because if you are looking to do REG to increase liability for customers who originally were not on the grid, you'd also have to have grid power be that balance, because as you know, REG also has its, in terms of the fact that it's based on the weather, it can be somewhat unstable. So you have to balance it and make it more reliable, even with grid power. So there's that part as well. To make this model work, you also have to have a um, whatever power is coming from the grid has to be quite reliable in terms of how many hours you're getting, and in terms of the fact that it's going to be reliable and the distribution network in which it's going through will be reliable. So there's a part about the reliability of the grid power that complements the REG. There's also the part about the distribution infrastructure as well. Um, the ring fencing of the funds is even the most important. The fact that you'll be able to, the ability to ring fence those funds so that lenders or investors are comfortable that that the revenues from such projects would not be going into account of the main grid. So that is also how those projects will be structured and be approved by the regulator is also very important. I'll stop there with that, but those are the main things. Others are more around comfort around the legal regulatory framework.
Dolapo, I want to talk a little bit about Nigeria supplying energy to countries in the region. I know that there's been some literature talking about reports talking about Nigeria supplying energy to countries like Niger, Benin, and Togo. And one would ask that why would the country be doing that when there's such a crisis at home? What do you have to say to that?
Uh, I think this is historical, and I don't think any of those supplies are new. Government obviously has its priorities as to why it will continue to do that. But I tell you what, I know that there's an embedded generation project, and I don't know if they are still doing it. That's privately run. That is also doing this, and because they wanted to do embedded generation in Nigeria, but you know the economics didn't work. Some things around credibility didn't work. So decided that they've already built the infrastructure and they are shipping the power out. Why would the developer want to do that? Foreign exchange is one thing. And if you have a reliable infrastructure and you have a credible off-taker, you can do that. So I would say it's a combination of things. Obviously, it's as a nation, our national priority is to help some of our neighbors, I guess. Um, Now, as to foreign exchange earnings, I don't know how reliable they are, but I think that could also be another one. But really, it's a national priority. It's something that government has elected to do, and they've been doing it for a while. So, as to why not bring some of that power back into Nigeria, I guess is a question we still need to keep asking ourselves. But that said, you'll find that some of that power actually would be lost if we didn't even send it out, because we still have a problem with our grid.
Dolapo, could you speak to us about the estimated cost of such projects? You did speak about lenders and investor confidence in projects like these. Just speak to us about that investor confidence of whether you see it backing a project like that.
Well, we start to see, more recently, I've started to work on projects where lenders are actually, and investors are looking at projects like this where funds will be ring fenced. And you know that there are lots of commitments that funds and investors are making to increasing how green our power is, we are talking about an energy transition in one shape, form, or manner, increasing renewable energy in some shape or manner, which is what we are trying to do with the REG, which is also called premium rent. So I think there's money that's able to do this, but there needs to be comfort around the fact that we can securitize those revenues. We can see them clearly. They will not be subject to the issues that the utilities are subject to. Once they can see that, and once the legal regulatory framework is clear, you begin to see more. So from some of the work we've been doing, we think things are getting clearer, but we need to see some projects start working, and then you see more funding.